Okay, welcome back to members of 121 Community Church in Grapevine, Texas, into our ongoing study in the Gospel of Matthew. Today we take a look at a theology of John the Baptist. Let's go to block 1 and we'll get started with the text. At that time, Herod the Tetrarch heard of the fame of Jesus and said unto his servants, "This is John the Baptist, risen from the dead. Therefore he is able to do mighty works." For previously Herod had laid hold of John, bound him, put him in prison, all for his wife's sake, Herodias. For John had declared that it was not lawful for Herod to have her as his wife. And then he would have put John to death, but he feared the multitude who supported him, and they supported him as a prophet. But after the daughter of Herodias danced for him, he promised to give her what she asked, and she, after receiving instructions from her mother, asked for the head of John the Baptist on a platter, and he sent to have John beheaded in prison. So we got the mother finally requesting through her daughter to have John beheaded. And then Herod Antipas feared that this ministry of Jesus was John the Baptist coming back, and he felt like he was going to suffer at the hands of this resurrected John the Baptist. Let's look at the theology in block 2 from R.T. France. John the Baptist as a Jesus prototype. It began with his role as Elijah. And we're given the scriptures here. It's Matthew 17:10 through 13. And the disciples, after coming down from the Mount of Transfiguration, they're talking to Jesus, and they say, the scribes say that Elijah must come first before the coming of the Son of Man. And Jesus answered them, "True, Elijah shall come first in order to restore things in repentance. But Elijah has already come, and they've done with him what they desired to do, and that is they have killed him. Likewise, so also shall it be for the Son of Man. He shall also suffer this type of a persecution and death." Then John is Jesus' prototype. Herod Antipas ruled in Galilee from 4 BC to 39 AD. He felt personally threatened by Jesus because he saw him as the returning prophet John. And in Luke 13:31, we hear that Jesus is warned, "Depart from here, for Herod will kill thee." So Herod Antipas felt threatened. Murder was on his mind. He was willing and desired to have this ministry of Jesus ended because he felt threatened by Jesus as a John the Baptist returning from the dead. Now, what's interesting is in the background, here you have the provincial ruler in Galilee. That's Herod Antipas. He was not a king. He was a provincial ruler. But here you have the Herodian leadership and this hostility and this feeling of being threatened by the ministry of Jesus. But at the same time, within the Herodian court, there were those who were actually connected with supporting the ministry of Christ. It's really strange. And we're given it. R.T. France gives us 2 verses to look at and for our support. So block 3, Luke 8:3. And Joanna supported Christ's ministry. She was the wife of Chuzas, who was the steward to Herod Antipas. And because of her husband's wealth, because of his social position, in order for her to follow Christ, she had to abandon her social standing, and she used her finances to support the ministry of Jesus. Here you got someone out of the Herodian court financially supporting the ministry of Jesus in Galilee. And then we're taken to Acts 13:1. Now there were at the church in Syria, Antioch, teachers, including Manaen, who had a history of having been with Herod Antipas. He was a church leader, a prophet in the early Syrian Antioch church. He's one of those who commissioned Paul for Paul's missionary journeys. Again, we've got this behind-the-scenes overlap with the Herodian court. So it's pretty amazing that here you've got this obvious persecution, feeling of being threatened, this real disunity between Herod Antipas and the ministry of Jesus. But then behind the scenes, you've got these individuals who are financing his ministry. And we need to close out really with the theology in this lesson, which is going to be block 2, note 2. Block 2, note 1, where we look at John the Baptist being declared by Jesus as Elijah. It's in Matthew 17:10-13. It's as Jesus descends from the Mount of Transfiguration, Peter, James, and John are talking. The scribes say that Elijah must come first before the coming of the Son of Man. And Jesus answered them, "Truly, Elijah shall come first, in order to restore all things through his message of repentance. But Elijah has already come, and they've done with him what they desired to do." And what is that? They desired to have him eliminated. The civil authorities, the Herodian court, wanted him gone. So they did what they wanted to do. They had him executed. Likewise, so also shall the Son of Man suffer the same kind of persecution and death. So, in a way, John the Baptist is a prototype of what is going to come in the future regarding salvation history and the fate of Jesus as the Christ, who will suffer, we know, according to Philippians chapter 2, his being faithful unto death, even death on the cross. And then block 3, we got a chance to actually look at the behind-the-scenes overlap between the ministry of Christ and the Herodian court. It's a very interesting lesson, but at the Mount of Transfiguration, Jesus, to the core group, Peter, James, and John, he's discussing the role of Elijah as they come down from the Mount of Transfiguration. They have witnessed, they had to cover themselves because of the doxa glory of God was too bright to even look at, but they were at the Transfiguration, and then they're talking about the coming of the Son of Man, the Daniel prophecy of the coming of the Son of Man, and the role of Elijah. And Christ himself calls John the Baptist Elijah. So it's a very powerful lesson. It gives us just a little bit of a look at how the theology of John the Baptist must be integrated into the gospel and especially in the Gospel of Matthew. And the execution of John the Baptist was actually channeled through Herodias, the wife of Herod Antipas, who had previously been the wife of his brother. And she was the one who actually brought about the execution of John the Baptist. That wraps up 14, 1 through 10. Next time, let's see, where do we go? Next time, 14, 11 through 14. 14, 11 through 14 next time. Thank you, my friends. That wraps up our look at John the Baptist.